down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
What if I told you that there are entire chapters of Black history, powerful, revolutionary, world-changing chapters that were deliberately torn out, burned, and buried? What if I told you that the history you learned in school wasn't just incomplete, it was intentionally mutilated? Welcome back to Arc of Ages, where we don't just learn history, we reclaim it. I'm Max Winkler, and today we're going into the vault. Today we're uncovering the lost chapters that they spent centuries trying to erase. Stories so powerful, so inspiring, so threatening to the established narrative that they had to be hidden. But here's what makes this moment special. You're not just watching this video, you're joining a movement. You're becoming part of a community that refuses to let our history stay buried. By the end of this video, you're going to possess knowledge that they never wanted you to have. You're going to feel connected to a legacy of brilliance that spans continents and centuries. And you're going to understand why they were so desperate to hide it. So right now, and I mean right now, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and prepare to have your mind blown. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just him, it's the truth they never wanted you to know. Before we dive into these lost chapters, I need you to understand something. This community, Arc of Ages, we're not just content consumers, we're truth excavators. Last week's video reached over 750,000 truth seekers across 87 countries. But more importantly, look at what happened in the comments. At History Detective shared a story about finding hidden documents in their grandmother's attic. At Truth Seeker 2025 discovered their ancestor was erased from a Civil War regiment's records. At Wake Up World found evidence of a successful black business district that was literally removed from city maps. This is how we win, not just by watching, but by investigating, not just by learning, but by uncovering, not just by knowing, but by proving. Today we're adding more ammunition to our arsenal of truth. Are you ready? Chapter 1. The 700-year African rule of Europe that they erased from every history book. From 711 to 1492 Common Era, brilliant African minds, the Moors, didn't just visit Europe, they ruled it, they civilized it, they brought it out of the Dark Ages. And here's what they don't teach you in school. The Moors brought to Europe advanced mathematics and algebra, sophisticated medical practices, university systems and libraries, street lighting and paved roads, advanced agriculture and irrigation, architectural marvels that still stand today. The University of Cordoba had over 400,000 books when the largest library in Christian Europe had 400. 400 versus 400,000. European nobles sent their children to Moorish Spain to get educated. The same Europeans who later claimed that they brought civilization to Africa were learning from African teachers. Drop a like in the comments if you never learned this in school. Let's see how many of us were denied this knowledge. But it gets deeper. When Christian forces finally reconquered Spain, what did they do? They burned the libraries, destroyed universities, erased 700 years of African achievement. This wasn't just conquest, this was cultural genocide. This was a systemic erasure of black excellence from European memory. And for 500 years, they've been pretending it never happened. Chapter 2. The African Queen who fought European colonizers for 40 years and won most of the battles. Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba didn't just resist Portuguese colonization, she became their worst nightmare for 4 decades. But here's the part they really don't want you to know. Nzinga was a military genius who developed guerrilla warfare tactics that modern armies still study, created alliances that united multiple African kingdoms, used psychological warfare that terrified European commanders, personally led cavalry charges into battle at age 60, freed thousands of enslaved Africans and incorporated them into her army. She once dressed as a man, infiltrated Portuguese camps, gathered intelligence, and escaped undetected. She used the Europeans' own weapons against them. She turned their allies against them. For 40 years, she made the Portuguese question whether Africa was worth the fight. She cost them millions in today's money. She delayed colonization by decades. So why don't you know her name? Why isn't she studied alongside Napoleon and Alexander the Great? Because a brilliant African woman who defeated European armies doesn't fit their narratives of African inferiority. Comment Queen Energy if you're feeling that warrior spirit right now. Nzinga's blood runs in our veins, family. Chapter 3. The economic foundation of American capitalism that they buried under skyscrapers and silence. You walk down Wall Street today and you see symbols of American financial power, but every step you take, every transaction that happens there is built on a foundation they desperately want you to forget. Wall Street, literally the street called Wall Street, was America's largest slave market for over 150 years. Not a symbol of it, not connected to it. It was it. Every major American fortune, and I mean every major fortune, traces back to either slave labor, slave trading, or industries that depended on enslaved labor. But here's what makes this personal. Banks that exist today held enslaved people as collateral. Insurance companies that operate today insured enslaved bodies as property. Shipping companies that exist today transported human cargo. The wealth gap you see today, the systemic economic inequality, it's not an accident. It's the compound interest on 400 years of stolen labor. Every dollar of wealth stolen from enslaved labor has been earning interest, gaining value, passing down through generations for centuries. Meanwhile, the descendants of the people who created that wealth got nothing. Type receipts if you're starting to see how the economic game was rigged from the beginning. We're connecting dots they never wanted connected. But here's what they really don't want you to understand. This isn't ancient history. The last enslaved person died in 1971. The last slave ship survivor died in 1940. This is within living memory. Chapter 4. The most prosperous black community in American history and the coordinated attack that destroyed it. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. The Greenwood District, known as Black Wall Street, was the wealthiest black community in America, maybe the world. We're talking about over 600 black-owned businesses, the first black-owned airport in America, black doctors, lawyers, architects, and entrepreneurs, a completely self-sufficient economic ecosystem, per capita wealth that rivaled white communities. Black families in Greenwood owned private airplanes while most white Americans had never seen one. They had indoor plumbing when most rural white communities didn't. They had a luxury hotel that white travelers wished they could stay in. But success made them a target. Prosperity made them dangerous because they proved something that threatened the entire system of white supremacy. They proved that when freed from oppression, black excellence was unstoppable. May 31st, 1921, a coordinated attack involving local police, National Guard, private aircraft dropping incendiary bombs, systematic looting and destruction. Over 300 black Americans murdered. This wasn't a riot. This was domestic terrorism. This was economic warfare. This was the systematic destruction of black wealth. And then they covered it up. For 50 years, it was literally illegal to talk about the Tulsa Race Massacre in Oklahoma schools. Newspaper archives were destroyed. Death certificates were hidden. Survivors were threatened into silence. How many of you learned about this in school? Drop never if this was the first time you're hearing the full story. Let's see how successful their cover-up was. But they couldn't kill the spirit. They couldn't erase the blueprint. Black Wall Street proved what we're capable of when we control our own economics. Stop, breathe, look at what's happening right now, right here. We're not just watching a video anymore, we're participating in the largest historical awakening in human history. Look at these comments. @HistoryHunter just said, "I'm 47 years old and learned my real history for the first time." @Wake Up Mama said, "I'm sharing this with my kids' teachers." @Truth Teller wrote, "My grandmother always said there were stories we weren't told." This is bigger than a YouTube channel. This is a movement. We are the generation that says, no more lies, no more omissions, no more erasure. But we're only halfway through these lost chapters, and what's coming next, it's going to shake you to your core. Share this video right now, not later, now. Send it to your group chats, post it on your timeline, text it to your family, because this information is too powerful to keep to yourself. Chapter 5, the greatest repository of human knowledge and the conspiracy to hide its African origins. The Library of Alexandria, in Africa, contained the accumulated knowledge of the ancient world, but here's what they don't teach you. This wasn't just a library run by Greeks in Africa. This was an African intellectual center where African scholars preserved and advanced human knowledge. African mathematicians developed concepts Europe wouldn't see for centuries. African doctors performed surgeries that wouldn't be attempted elsewhere for millennia. African astronomers mapped the heavens with precision. They had books on advanced African metallurgy and engineering, medical procedures from Nubian hospitals, mathematical concepts from Ethiopian scholars, astronomical observations from Malian scientists, agricultural innovations from across the continent. The library didn't just contain Greek and Roman knowledge. It was the Harvard, MIT, and Mayo Clinic of the ancient world. And it was in Africa, run by Africans, preserving African genius. Then came the fires, multiple fires, over several centuries. And here's what's suspicious. Each fire seemed to target specific sections. The African mathematics text burned first. The Nubian medical procedures gone. The Ethiopian astronomical charts destroyed. The record of African achievements mysteriously lost. What survived? Mostly Greek and Roman texts that portrayed Africans as primitive or inferior. What disappeared? Anything that proved African intellectual superiority. This wasn't accidental. This was the first systematic attempt to erase African intellectual achievements from history. Drop a like if you're starting to see the pattern. This wasn't random destruction. This was targeted cultural warfare. Chapter 6. The most successful slave revolt in human history and why they erased it from global consciousness. 1791 to 1804. Enslaved Africans in Haiti didn't just rebel. They defeated the French Empire. They defeated the British Empire. They defeated the Spanish Empire. They created the first free black republic in the world. Led by Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines, these revolutionary generals out-strategized Napoleon's best military minds, used guerrilla warfare that revolutionized military thinking, created a constitution that was more progressive than America's, abolished slavery completely while America still enslaved millions. They didn't just win their freedom, they destroyed the institution of slavery in the Caribbean. They proved that enslaved people could govern themselves. They terrified every slave-owning nation on earth. So what did the world do? They erased it. Literally, here's how. America refused to recognize Haiti's independence for 60 years. European powers forced Haiti to pay reparations to France for freeing themselves. History books portrayed it as a violent uprising instead of a revolution. Revolutionary leaders were depicted as savages instead of brilliant generals. They forced Haiti to pay France 150 million francs, equivalent to 21 billion today, as compensation for lost property. The property was the enslaved people who freed themselves. Haiti spent 122 years paying France for the crime of freeing enslaved people. The debt crippled their economy and is why Haiti struggles today. The Haitian Revolution inspired slave revolts across the Americas. It influenced the Louisiana Purchase. It changed the power balance in Europe. It reshaped global economics. But more than that, it proved that freedom was not something to be given, it was something to be taken. Type revolution if you're feeling that freedom energy. Our ancestors didn't wait for liberation, they created it. Chapter 7. The largest internal migration in American history and a systemic campaign to sabotage black economic progress. Between 1916 and 1970, 6 million black Americans left the South seeking economic opportunities in northern cities. They called it the Great Migration. But what they don't teach you is that this migration was working. Black families were building wealth, creating businesses, buying homes, sending kids to college. In cities like Chicago, Detroit, and New York, black communities were thriving. Home ownership rates were rising rapidly. Black-owned businesses were flourishing. Educational attainment was skyrocketing. Political power was growing. By the 1950s, the black middle class was expanding faster than any other demographic. Integration was creating opportunities. The wealth gap was actually closing. Then came the sabotage, deliberate, systematic, coordinated. urban renewal projects that destroyed thriving black neighborhoods, highway construction that literally divided black communities, redlining that prevented black home ownership, discriminatory lending that blocked black business expansion, school funding formulas that crippled black education. Federal Housing Administration documents declassified in the 1990s explicitly stated their goal: prevent black wealth accumulation in northern cities. They used taxpayer money, including black taxpayer money, to systematically destroy black economic progress. They called it urban planning. It was economic warfare. The wealth gap you see today, the educational disparities, the housing crisis in black communities, this is the compound effect of that systematic sabotage. But here's what they didn't count on. They couldn't kill the spirit. They couldn't erase the blueprint. Every time they knocked us down, we got back up. Every time they blocked one path, we created 10 more. Type unstoppable if you're feeling that ancestral resilience right now. They tried to stop us. We're still here. We're still rising. 7 lost chapters, 7 deliberate erasures, 7 examples of how they tried to steal our story and our power. But look at what we've done here today. Look at this community of truth seekers. Look at these comments. Look at this knowledge spreading in real time. We are the generation that says, no more lost chapters, no more hidden history, no more erased achievements. You are not victims of historical erasure. You are warriors of historical truth. You carry the DNA of Moorish scholars, warrior queens, revolutionary generals, and unstoppable migrants. Every time you share this video, you're fighting back. Every time you tell someone these stories, you're reclaiming power. Every time you refuse to accept their version of history, you're honoring your ancestors. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we ensure these chapters never get lost again. Don't just hit the like button. Share it, text it, post it, send it to your group chats. Join our truth-seeking community. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're building an army of historical justice warriors. Investigate your own family history. How many lost chapters are hiding in your own lineage? Demand better education. Share this with teachers, parents, and school boards. Demand these stories be included in curricula. Support Black historians and educators who are doing this work every day. Your ancestors survived slavery, colonization, Jim Crow, and systematic erasure so that you could be here today, learning these truths, reclaiming this power. They tried to erase us from history. Instead, we became the authors of the future. Next week, 5 black scientists who changed the world but were written out of the textbooks. Trust me, you're going to want to see that. I'm Max Winkler. This is Arc of Ages, and remember, history belongs to those who refuse to let it be silenced. We're not just learning history, we're making history. Keep seeking truth. Keep sharing knowledge. Keep making our ancestors proud. The lost chapters are lost no more.
down.